Hey y'all, welcome back. Walking bass blues. This is such a fun thing to add to your playing. When I first heard this, I thought this sounded so cool. I really wanted to do it so I could play kind of background music and things like that when people would just hand me a guitar at a party or something. Kind of sounds like you're doing something really jazzy and really complicated, but it's actually not that hard. It's single notes mostly. Step one is to know how to divide the guitar into the different parts. The two lowest strings are going to be where you play bass notes. You were never going to play bass notes on the D string or the G string or any of the other strings. That's just for this style, but it's a good rule of thumb for almost all fingerstyle guitar. Of course, in other genres, you're going to break that rule, but it's nice to know about it. The middle two strings are going to be where we play the chords. So when we're playing the chords in this style, we're using what we call guide tones. So that leaves us with just two grips on our left hand. We have this shape, which is the dominant seventh chord based on the sixth string root. Where this note is A, that's the root note. Then we have, if we just move this whole shape over and take our pinky off, we have the second shape. This is the dominant seventh chord with the root based off the A string. Those are the only two shapes that you'll need to do for this walking blues. It's important to do these shapes because we need to have this exact fingering so we can use our middle finger to do most of the bass note. Okay. Second, you need to know where these chords are placed. So you'll just need to know the chord A7 in two positions, the chord D7 in two positions, and the chord E7 in two positions. Metronome's clicking at 60 BPM on beats 2 and 4. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you start over. We're going to play some syncopation by doing 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. Making sure we're using a nice swing rhythm. So that looks like this. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2, 3, 4. Or you can add multiple hits like this. 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. If we're connecting this chord, 1 and 2, 3, 4 to this one, 1 and 2, 3, 4, the bass player plays each beat like this. Now let's talk about which notes you choose. There's only two things you need to know. It can go deeper than this, but it really never needs to. Those two things are this. Number one, chromatic approach tones. And that just means where we're playing this. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Listen to this example. Metronome's clicking at 60. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay. So that's approach tones on beat 4. That leaves 2 beats still, a rest on beat 2 and rest on beat 3. We need to fill that in with just 2 different notes. We can either extend the chromatic approach tones in the same way, so like this, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or we can play arpeggios. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Let's start with the chromatic approach tones. Now, when you're filling the whole thing in with approach tones, just the rule of thumb is 3 frets down. So like if we're here, this is where we're going to, let's say the 5th fret of the A string, then you're gonna go down to the 2nd fret. 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. So you can add those kind of approach tones wherever you want. At one spot I added it here. 2, 3, 4, 1. Then I did approach downwards. Okay, so you can do approach notes up or down. If you did that every time, it might get a bit boring, but for the first 2 chords, this is a great exercise. This sounds familiar. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So that's option 1, is chromatic approach tones. Option 2 is the arpeggio notes. When we have a root 6 chord, the arpeggio looks like this. Okay, so often it'll be like this. Approach, arpeggio, approach, arpeggio, approach note, arpeggio. What about chords like this one? D7 chord looks like this. But this note here, that's the flat 7 of the D7 chord. Often that'll land on the 4th beat, so we can just skip that and play an approach note instead. Now, very often those approach notes are going to sound high tension. They're going to tweak your ear a little bit, but that's good because it has a stronger resolve to the next chord. That's the idea, tension and release. The only other thing that you ever could add is occasionally some scale tones. Now, I don't want to get into that much detail because you don't really need it. You don't really ever need to do that. Just the arpeggios and the approach notes will get you really, really far. And if you find yourself needing an extra note, play a note that's around the chord that's coming up. Just use your ear to see what sounds best. Now, before I do the slow playthrough, there's one last thing I want to talk about. This whole thing, when you play jazz blues and things like this, it's played with a shuffle beat. And the best way to practice your shuffle beat with a metronome is to actually have your metronome clicking on beats 2 and 4 only. I know that seems like a very easy thing to do, but it's actually really, really difficult. I've never met a single person that's able to do this on their first try, or even on the first week. Counting with the metronome, clicking, naturally we want to count the numbers like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But getting it to where you can do this, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, is way harder than it seems. If you can practice with your metronome on beats 2 and 4, your swing time is going to improve dramatically. But please don't underestimate how difficult that is to do. And if you can't do it your first try, you're just like everybody else in the world, just like me. It takes a lot of practice. It seems like it should be easy to do, but it's not. Here's the best way to start. Get this thing clicking. Once it hits a note, say 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just start to go into it. You'll notice as you kind of keep going, internally the groove kind of changes a little bit. So one more time. Start saying 2s, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how you can start to kind of get into that time. But for the slow playthrough, I'm actually raising the tempo to 80 BPM here, and we're playing every single click. 2, 3, 4. And then repeat, hopefully with variations. If you're not getting this right away, it's tricky, so give yourself plenty of time to learn this. Be nice to yourself. If you want to learn a little bit more about jazz blues and how to play a jazz blues progression like Joe Pass, check out this video over here, and I'll see you guys there.